Obviously a different time for all of us, and I think one of the things that I was impressed with myself was that I still kept playing, and which is not true of all my colleagues. I think it's hard when you don't have a concert to get ready for. It's hard to keep playing. So one of the things that I attribute that to is that I specifically chose music that I love to play. And so I ended up playing a lot of Bill Douglas music. So we're going to talk about Bill today. And and joining me today are my wife Monique on piano and my sister Suzanne on who's going to turn pages. And it's not an easy thing finding a page turner that's in the bubble and and can read music and all that. So a huge thanks to them. And also, I pitched this idea to Joanne while Monique and I were on vacation last week, and we got back on Wednesday. So we've had to sort of get back in shape in a hurry. So some of this is a little bit of a work in progress. But what I want to do today is talk a little bit about Bill, or actually quite a bit about Bill, and some basic things about him in case you don't know anything about Bill. And then I want to play a lot of his music, and specifically the partita, the first partita for bassoon and piano. I was checking over Bill's repertoire list today, and I see he's written two partitas, which I didn't know until this morning. So this is the first partita, which I'll get to that later. So just generally, Bill is Canadian. He was born in London, Ontario, 1944. So he's heading on 76 years old this year. And he picked up piano early, guitar, ukulele, and he was kind of a huge jazz aficionado right from the get-go, and used to play rock and roll with his brothers. And so he's an extremely musical guy. When you meet him, he just lives and breathes music. This is particularly his music, which makes sense because he's so fired up about it. It's really inspiring. So 1966, he got a degree in music education from the University of Toronto, and he went on to Yale. So he got a degree at Yale in bassoon in 1968 and in composition in 1969. And what's really interesting is at that time he was writing really gnarly contemporary atonal music, which is hard to imagine when you hear his music now. And so at Yale, he made friends with Richard Stoltzman, and they ended up being a duo for years and years. And in fact, that's the first exposure I had to Bill, was when the two of them came to Ottawa and gave a concert at the Art Center in probably 1982 or something, probably when most of you were not alive, but there you go. And very inspiring. And so he played with Stoltzman for a long time. One of the really interesting gigs that he had was teaching at Cal Arts. He taught there from 1970 to 77. California Institute for the Arts was a project that's set up by Walt Disney's money. And the idea was to bring all kinds of artistic-minded people together, university-age people, put them all in one place and see what happened. So they would have, painters and sculptors and musicians and dancers, and threw them all into this environment and just to see what they would come up with. So so Bill was hired as the music teacher there, which is a really interesting thing when you think about it, because his job was to teach music to all kinds of people from other disciplines. So he did have some bassoon students. In fact, John Steinmetz is a very well-known student of Bill's, but he designed these classes about general musicianship that were super cool, and a lot of world music involved, a lot of jazz and rock rhythms. And so I'm going to talk later about his vocal rock etudes that grew out of this phase. But anyway, very interesting, very creative environment, obviously. And from 1977 to 2010, he taught at the Naropa Institute in Boulder, Colorado, which is a Buddhist university, maybe the only one in the US, I'm not sure. But he was there for a long time. He's a practicing Buddhist, meditates every day, and yeah, really embodies the joy of music. So and you can find out all these facts on his website, which is excellent, of course. So that's all I'm going to say about it. My connection with Bill, when I was at Eastman in the mid 80s, I had a bassoon quintet actually that I was very keen on called Bassoonarama. And so I made a point of reaching out to other bassoon groups. And Bill, when he was at Colorado, he formed a bassoon ensemble called the Boulder Bassoon Band, which is a legendary group that performed his music. So Steve Bronstein was in there. He's a well-known, he's the contra player in San Francisco. And John Steinmetz, obviously. And so in true Bill Douglas fashion, you know, I wrote this nice letter, Mr. Douglas, you know, I've heard about your group. And he sends me this pile of music, you know, like just tons of like handwritten, barely legible music, and this cassette tape, of course, of all the Boulder Bassoon Band's greatest hits. And yeah, and I thought it was fantastic stuff. And so when I had a bassoon group of my own in Toronto, the Caliban Quartet, of course, that was one of the first things I wanted to do, was to collaborate with Bill. So he came up to Toronto. We did a collaboration with CBC in 1995, and that led to us making this recording, our second CD. This is you know, not exclusively Bill's music, but there's a lot of Bill's stuff on here that we recorded in 1999. And since then, I've been really lucky to get other chances to play with Bill. He came up in 2006 and helped with a fundraiser for my son's school. And Bill and I played at the IDRS convention in 2007. We played his piece for contrabassoon and piano together. And 2016, I think it was, he was coming up here for a reunion of his class at U of T, and we ended up playing a recital together, a small recital. So yeah, so I've been very lucky. A friend of mine in Holland was kidding me. He was asking me what stuff I've been playing during COVID, and I told him I'm playing a lot of Bill Douglas. So he says now I'm the world champion, like the champion of Bill Douglas, which I don't think is true. There's a lot of us who love his music, but I'm happy to take that title. I'm really, I love Bill's music. It's very jazz pop oriented, of course. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I would not play a whole program of Bill Douglas's music. I have to say that, because it really does kind of all sound the same, but you know, Mozart all sounds the same too. So it's just a specific style that he has. But I think it can be a fantastic addition to a program if you're thinking of a recital program. And he's just written a ton of ensemble music as well. So I would encourage you to check out his website and see all the stuff that he's done. So yeah, so I'm going to jump right in and talk about his partita. It was written as a co-commission in 2005. So Bill's been really good with this. At a certain point, Richard Stoltzman changed gears and started doing tours with his family. All his kids play instruments, and his wife. So that whole side of things stopped for Bill. So Bill started doing a lot of composing. So one of the great things about the internet is that people have been able to get together and do co-commissions. So Bill's been a great user of that technology or phenomenon, whatever. So the partita was co-commissioned by 29 of us, I think, including Milan Turkovic and other people you've heard of. So, and that's something that we played when Bill came up here to do the fundraiser for my son's school in 2006. We played the partita, and Nadina and I played it sort of as a tag team. So I played 2 or 3 of the movements, and she played 2, something like that. It's a 5-movement work. And the idea behind it, why it's called partita, is that it's sort of inspired by Bach. Each movement is a dance movement, and there's a lot of counterpoint in the whole piece. So so that's the idea. And you know what, before I do anything else, I'm gonna try to, if this works, I'm gonna try to play you a little slideshow I made. These are just pictures of Bill that I managed to dig out of my computer. So some of them are the recording session for Feast. So you'll see Chris Millard, you'll see Kathy McLean, Mark Duggan, the drummer. You will not see Nadina because she was taking all the photographs, but you will see her in one of the shots here. So I'm just gonna try to share this properly.
Hey.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
Okay, see if this works. Okay, there we go. All right, so that was semi-successful. Okay, am I back? Back, okay. Sorry about that, that was, yeah. Anyway, gotta try these things. All right.